Hello, everyone. Chris Williams here tonight with Bass 365 Live, presented by Blazer Boats. We have a special guest tonight, Zack Birge. Hello, Zack. How are you, bud?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, we're here tonight get to talk about a lot of new changes for you. Welcome you to Blazer Boats family. We're glad to have you.
I appreciate it. It's been a long time in the works, and I'm glad to finally be here.
It has, and I think to start off, I want to clear the air for you on some stuff. We made the post the other day about you coming to Blazer Boats, and I seen a few negative comments out there. And there's things that you know changes happen in the career of anglers all the time. Um, it's not always due to something negative.
Right.
You were with Rick and those guys at Bass Cat for your whole career. Great people, got a great product. Some people, want to assume that it's a negative thing. As far as I know, there was nothing negative that happened there with you and those guys. They're great guys, but sometimes, in a career, there has to be a change that it's a positive thing. It's something that, it could be money. It could just be the fact that you're looking forward to your future and see something that fits your future better than what you currently have. And I just want to get that out there because I think Rick and them are great guys. I've seen that Rick and Ivan both wish you well, and think of you as family. And I think all the fans out there need to know that it wasn't a negative thing that happened with you and Bascat. It was just something changing something for your future.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You nailed it. I talked to Rick. I talked to Kevin. Obviously, I've got a really good relationship with both of them, Ivan and Jason, and everybody. Really, everybody involved with Bascat. It was really good. There's no negative effects from this. It's simply, just a business direction change, and they're aware of it, and they support me on this decision. That changes at sometimes it's a surprise, and sometimes it comes at times when you're not expecting it, and this is kind of one of those similar scenarios, and they support the decision, and I'm very grateful to have the support from them since I started, back from the college days and before that. And, I look forward to the future as well.
Yep. And we look forward to the future as well too. And I'd just seen those comments, and I'd seen the nice comments that Rick and Ivan had made, and you know I just want fans to understand that there's ever changing things in this sport. You think that when you get in the sport that you're gonna get this sponsor and it's gonna be a lifelong deal, and it may be the fact that you get a sponsor and it's great for that time, and things change in the industry, and things don't change with your sponsor program, and things like that happen all the time. They don't benefit you the way they need to, and we just have to sometimes move on and do it in the right way. And I feel that you did that. There was no bad blood that I've heard of you leaving, and that's good. That's what we want. We want to leave on good terms when opportunities like that come through. So I just wanted to bring that up first thing and kind of clear the air for those who were wondering, because it's a positive thing. I think it's positive for us at Blazer, obviously, to have you on our team, and we want to grow with you in the future. And man, I hope you're here, when I retire. But it may be 10 years down the road, there may be a better opportunity for you, and we'll leave that point as friends, hopefully then too. So,
Right. Yep. I agree.
well, you've had that 625 for a few days now. I know you've been digging through it. Have you found your favorite thing on the boat yet?
Probably the rear storage battery area, that rear end of it's so clean and neat. It's nice and tidy, and I put 4 Monster Marine lithiums in there the other day that came in. I've got them all ready to go. My motor should be here in a day or two, so I'm going to get it unloaded off the truck, get it bolted up, hopefully get this thing broke in pretty quick. I've got the majority of my tackle in there, got a bunch of rods loaded up in there. So, hopefully in the next few days, maybe towards the end of next week, I'll have that thing broke in and have a little bit of good insight on what's to come.
Yeah, I like, that area you're talking about. I think the thing that I like about it, it's so easy to access pumps. Your, live well intake pumps wide open. Your bilge pumps right there underneath one of your batteries. Very easy to access. But I think one of my favorite things about that part is when the boat's sitting on the trailer, the Marine Master trailer, the way the steps come back, you can actually stand on the back of the trailer step and be able to reach your batteries without hanging off the back of your boat.
Yeah.
I had a boat years ago that you had to turn a 31 on its end and fish it through and put it in and then do another one. And it was always the inside battery that went out. And so you'd have to hang on the back of the transom and try to, get this 31 series battery out of there. It weighs 65 pounds. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the boat as well. The other thing is, the storage in it is ridiculous. The day box in front of the console is probably my favorite thing on the whole boat.
It is. It's nice. You can put, the way I look at that box right there is I'm going to put the boxes that I'm going to use throughout the day, or what I feel like after practice is probably going to be my priority boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put them in there. I'll put my dies and, my Sharpies and stuff like that. I put all that right there in that one box. So hopefully throughout the day, I can just dig into that and I won't have to go searching for things. But, I've got the rear storage completely full now. I've got both the center boxes full, the day box is full. The thing is completely loaded now. And it actually was pretty simple to lay it out. And, like you and I have talked in the past, I put most of my heavier weight stuff in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I've got lithium batteries, so that shed a lot of weight in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my heavy plastics and stuff are in both my back storage compartments, heavy swim baits and stuff, all my soft plastics, flipping baits, stick baits and stuff like that. And then I've got all my top waters and crankbaits and things like that in that center box, those center boxes there. And they're lighter, you can pack a bunch of crankbaits in there, but it's still pretty light box. So it should be set up pretty right.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to how I load mine out. That day box, I usually, hold 5 3700s. So I usually put 4 in there and I'll keep whatever soft plastics I think I'm going to be using for the day. I'll drop a couple packs in that other slot so I'm not running back and forth all day. So yeah, it sounds like you got it loaded out, ready to go. Sounds like one thing you're missing is there's no rods in there.
There's a few rods in there. So I've had a couple, that I've had at the house I've used over the few years. Relationship with Jake and I go back a long ways. Alpha Angler rods. We hit it off years ago, and we've been really good friends ever since. Kind of knew this time would come at some point, and it fell at a perfect time. So I'm excited moving forward. I'll have a rod box full of Alpha Angler rods. To be able to work with both Jake, Brandon, John, and several of the other guys on the team. It's pretty cool. I'll have that thing full of those rods, and hopefully we'll have a great year moving forward. And I look forward to another great year, just like the one previous.
Yep. Well, like I said, sometimes things have to change in careers and one thing about this sport, this industry is really small and relationships is a very important factor in it. There's so many relationships that I've made throughout the years in it that have moved me forward in it. So it's great to know that you've landed with some guys that you have a great relationship with, because that just makes it that much better.
It is, and you kind of hit that on the head right there. From this transition from Bass Cat, which I've I've ran for several years. I've got a really great relationship with those guys over there. To now running a Blazer boat, there's no harm or foul. We're still going to remain really good friends. We'll still be really close. Um, and moving forward, that's the way transition should be.
Yep.
It's not to leave on a negative image. It's not to leave on negative terms. It's strictly business. And when one thing leads to another,
Yep.
that's just how it goes. You've got to understand that as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing goes for, being like myself and the other guys that we fish with as anglers. A good relationship goes a long ways. Um, so I'm excited to move forward with Alpha Angler. I'm excited to move forward with you in Blazer Boats. I'll be hanging a 250 Mercury on the back of that thing pretty soon here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And as well as I do, I'm going to send that thing as hard as I can every time I can. So it's going to be a fun and interesting year.
I think the only negative to hanging that 250 Mercury on the back of it is you're going to cover up that cool jack plate that Bob sent you, man. That orange jack plate really shows off.
Oh, that thing's bright enough; it'll stand out.
Yeah, Steve Pelini and them, they do an awesome job down there, man. And that thing just, I think it sets the boat off.
It does. It goes right along with all the accent on the boat and everything like that.
Yeah, for those that haven't seen the boat yet, it's a color we call it's black with orange mist, and it has orange flake pins on it, and that's the Zack Birge boat right there for sure. I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to figure out something for next year for another orange color scheme, and it's gonna be hard to top this one.
It is. It's a sharp boat. Um, from the couple pictures that have been out so far, it kind of looks funny without a motor on there. But I promise you, when we get that engine on the back in a couple of days, it'll look the way it's supposed to. It'll all come together, and it's going to look like a rocket.
Yeah, I'm ready to see that thing on the water and dialed in because it's going to be a rocket ship. And the great thing about our boats is they're fast. They're not as fast as the old Blazers were. Those boats were absolute missiles, but these boats ride a whole lot better. That's one thing. I've joked about. Lambert and I had a ongoing joke there for a long time. The wind was blowing really hard. We're like, hey, make sure you pass Birge tomorrow. I want to pique his interest, and me and Lambert had that little inside joke going for a while. He'd call me after day one of the tournament. He goes, well, I passed Birge this morning. It was rolling 3-footers, and he said, I let it eat. So there was times I think maybe as Marshall probably got a little terrified, but we were having fun with it just to pique that interest. And I guess it worked. We got you over here.
Oh, I guarantee it. I remember that day clearly. We were at Harris running over to trying to get over to Griffin. We came out of that no wake zone, and boy, it was rolling in there. It was bad. It was rough. I mean, it was rough enough to you were going to take a beating regardless. And I looked over at Lambert, and I know he looked over at me, and I was like, golly, here we go. I can't just let him have it. So I was going to send it too. And about 3/4 of the way through, I looked over at my Marshall, and he was flying all over the boat. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I got to back down a little bit. Lambert just kept sending. I was like, dadgummit, here we go. Now I'm going to have to hear the end of it.
Yeah, he said you got to the lock, and you just looked at him and shook your head. Oh,
yeah, it was funny.
He'll send that 650 for sure.
He did too. I watched him go right on by me.
So we're going into 2023. I know you're going to be fishing the BPT. I don't know if you plan on any Toyota events or anything else.
Yeah. So last year I fished the opens. I fished a lot of the opens. I had one interference there for heavy hitters. Had some things happen that kind of interfered with that aspect of tournaments. I'm kind of leave it at that, but
yep.
We had a great year. Bass Pro Tour, probably one of my better years. I was really successful. Had a great year. Finished really good in the points, made every championship, everything I could qualify for. So this year I'm fishing just the Bass Pro Tour because of one schedule conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and being the fact that, if I skip a day here, they suspend me for the rest of the season, which I can't really afford to be suspended for the rest of the season. So unfortunately, I can't fish the Opens in addition to the Bass Pro Tour. So I'm going to jackpot fish any BFLs, Toyota Series, anything that comes up. Also had a phone call last night with a buddy of mine that, um, my rookie season, he was a co-angler with me, actually practiced with me. He had a phenomenal year as a co-angler, qualified for the tour, fished as a pro for several years, had quite a bit of success. And him and I are going to fish those Brandon Belt tournaments
Yep.
in Texas. So, we're going to throw those in there in amongst the Bass Pro Tour, and I'll jackpot some BFLs here and there, just basically just to hang out and have a good time with some friends. And, I take every tournament seriously, but I enjoy hanging out with people that I know and, meeting new people. And really that part of those events is more important to me than going out and trying to catch the 5 fish. Obviously I have a competitive side, but, I enjoy that part of those tournaments more than I do. We go to Bass Pro Tour event and it's all game there. Here I can kind of relax, jackpot one of these, have a good time, hang out with buddies. So I'll throw those in there when the time allows.
Yep. That sounds like a fun year, packed full of a lot of stuff. On the Bass Pro Tour, is there any certain event you got your eyes on, licking your chops for?
Uh, I don't really have a favorite one or one that sticks out to me. One thing that is really on my mind more than anything is the fact that I've been so close so many times and I haven't closed one in several years, which it's starting to aggravate me a little bit. So, I'm gonna try to let that fire, anger fuel myself to hopefully winning one of these this year. I used to seem like I could win something once a year, once every other year. I've had kind of a lull the past couple of years as far as winning, but I've been really consistent. I've had a lot of top tens and stuff, but I really want to win. I finished like 4th in the last 3 Red Crest events, which, it's a good payday, but I mean, who cares about 4th place? You want to win.
That's right.
It's kind of, it's a joke, but if you're not first, you're last. I don't really care about finishing 4th. It's great, but I want to win one. I'm tired of finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th, top 10. So hopefully this is year. That's the goal. I'm going to try to win one, hopefully, and just have a good time.
It seems like guys, they'll have different, lulls in their careers. You'll have guys that, they'll win one and then they'll, the next year and a half, they just are have mediocre finishes. And then you have guys that are consistent and just can't get that win down. But I think, you know, how to win. You've won before. But getting that consistency down is really strong. Points fishing and getting to that championship. And if you can mix that consistency with a win or two here and there, that could make for a big year.
Yeah, yeah. I get asked a lot, about how I got started, how I've got to where I am today, things like that. Um, and really a lot of it all boils back to when I started fishing. It was in college. We didn't have any kind of program where we were paid to go fish or we were funded or anything like that. At Oklahoma State, we were, if you cashed a check, you split your check with the club, and you and your partner split your half.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for us to continue to fish and be able to travel as a college angler, full-time schedule, traveling, across the country, we've got to cash a check. Like if we don't cash a check, we can't go to the next one. So I took it very seriously. Blake and I, we practiced hard, we fished hard, we cashed checks at almost everyone we went to, and that allowed us to keep fishing. And that's where I transitioned from college to BFL's Rayovacs at the time to Toyota Series. Basically, I'm going to cash a check at this one. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to cash a check there, and then hopefully I'm going to make the third one and then the championship, and we'll see where it leads after that. Fortunately, at that, the year I qualified for the FLW Tour, I did really well, cashed a check. I was consistent, qualified for the tour, but I didn't know really how I was going to fish it. I didn't have a bunch of money to put down for entry fees. I don't come from a bunch of money. It was, hope and pray everything works out. And I turned in my 2 weeks notice, and I would never tell anybody to do this. I've said it a bunch of times. Don't ever have a 6-figure career at 21, 22 years old and walk away from it to go bass fishing. That's just not a good choice. I got extremely lucky when I did it. I turned in a 2 weeks notice on very good terms with my boss, and I went to fish a Rayovac championship that I was fortunate enough to win, and that $50,000 funded my first year on tour. I was fortunate enough to do very good that first year, and one thing leads to another, that leads to another, and here I am today fishing the Bass Pro Tour, the highest level of bass fishing, and I'm literally living my dream of being a professional bass angler with some of the best companies that I could work with. And it's simply because, I worked hard, and I have a lot of good support behind me, and I fished consistent. I fished to cash a check. I never did fish to win. I'm a firm believer in if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And when it happened, it was perfect timing. So, I've pretty much accomplished everything so far except for winning at a major tour event and a championship level as like a Red Crest or a Classic or something like that. So we're going to try to break that off with some tour event wins and then hopefully a Red Crest win and see where that leads us.
That story kind of reminds me, I spent 14 years in NASCAR, and one of the drivers I worked for, he was like family, Bobby Hamilton. And when Bobby was coming up racing the local tracks, on Friday, he would go pawn the television so he could go race at the Nashville Speedway or Nashville Fairgrounds. But he knew he had to win, because if he didn't win, he didn't have enough money to get the TV out of pawn on Monday so he could pawn it back on Friday and race again. So it's amazing, when you have something that's driving you out there, and you have that determination, and you have to cash a check or you have to do this, it makes you work a lot harder. And I think that makes people a lot more successful than someone that just has it all handed to them, because someone like yourself, you've had to work for it. It was actually one of the things I was going to talk about tonight, because I know that starting out, sponsors weren't easy for you. And I can remember being in working booths at the Forestwood Cup, and young kids coming up asking for sponsorships, and seemed like that some of the high schools do a great job at educating kids on what it takes to go to the next level, or what the sport's really about, and then some kind of fill them full of dreams and hopes that are really hard to achieve.
Yep.
What's it really take to be a professional angler? I think that's something that the kids today, they need to learn more of what it really does take, because it's not all dreams and fairy tales out there. You guys, there's a lot of ups and downs in life, a lot of a lot of money to do it. It takes a lot of support. It takes a lot of support from the family, because you spend a lot of time gone. So just kind of let the young anglers out there, just kind of tell them what it takes to be a professional angler.
It does. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of funding, obviously, and that's a very hard part to acquire and and have in place so you can comfortably do your job. Um, when I started, I had my tour season. I had $4,000 that was sponsorship money. That was at the time, I think maybe one entry fee, if that. It might not even covered one entry fee. I can't remember exactly. Um, and if I could go back, if I could go back and start over at my college days and prior to that, moving forward, I would, looking at the way I see the business now and how I know it runs and how, companies run and business works with it. I would focus on yourself. I would focus on catching fish, spending time on the water. If you're spending time on the water, you're catching fish, you're having consistent finishes, you're winning events, or you're consistently in the top 10 or consistently in the check range. That does not go unnoticed. It's like everybody that Brandon Pollock last year, he was AOI. Who did not notice him fishing, and having, top finishes all year long? That's the reason he was AOI. That doesn't go unnoticed. So if you're a high school angler, or even before high school, if you have aspirations to be a professional bass angler, college anglers like I was, just fish. Worry about catching as many fish as possible, doing as good as you can do, taking as many pictures and videos as possible, and set yourself apart. That's one of the things that, if you look at the top anglers in the industry and you want to know why they're successful in the business, it's because they've set themselves apart from the mass group of anglers. Say we have 80 anglers Bass Pro Tour. There's 10 guys that have set themselves apart in every aspect of the industry, whether it's their colors, the way they present themselves, the way they present themselves on the water. I hear a lot of things about Ike and Ellie. A lot of people love him. A lot of people think he's crazy, but look at where he's taken himself in his career. He's everybody that bass fishes recognizes the name, and I'm not one of those guys that's going to have, yellow rods like Skeet or whatever. I'm not going to be extremely crazy like Ike, which is a very, very good dude on and off the water. I present myself as I am. I'm going to call it like I see it. I'm not going to hide anything. I'll be honest with you. You can reach out to me on social media. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And that's directly me. It's not anybody else. And I feel like that is the direction I need to stay. This direction I need to take. I've been successful with it thus far in my career. And going back to what I said a minute ago, I feel like I've been consistent over the years, and it's led me to where I am now. So I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to keep fishing. If opportunity presents itself where I can win an event, that's just the way it's going to fall. And that basically, if I could go back and tell people that ask me all the time, it's spend time on the water, spend as many days as possible on the water, do as well as you can in events, try to win as much as you can, be consistent, and that won't go unnoticed. People will see that and people will reach out to you. You don't have to blow up, 100 companies a day looking for sponsorship. That should be the last worry. You should be catching fish, being consistent on the water, trying to dominate the region you live in, make a statement, and that won't go unseen. People will start calling you. People will start, knocking down your door, trying to figure out who you are, how you represent yourself, and what your aspirations are as an angler. And, in turn, what can you do for them as a business person? And one thing will lead to another. And next thing you know, you'll be fishing at a tour level and you'll be a successful individual.
Yeah, you are who you are, and you never try to pretend to be anybody else. And I think that's one thing that kind of draws people to you. I'm that straightforward. I don't beat around the bush. I don't tell you what I think you want to hear. I tell you the truth. I'm honest with you and straightforward. And that's the kind of guy you are. And, you know, that's the one thing that I tell people is don't pretend to be somebody you're not. Be who you are. Because someday you may pretend so much and actually forget who you are.
That's right.
So just be who you are and, you know, go out and do what you love to do.
Yep.
You know, you've got to get, you know, you got to get noticed out there on the water by doing the things that you were saying and being consistent. And once you do that, then, you know, everything else, those pieces to the puzzle start coming together.
They do. It all falls into place. It's not something that, it's not something you can expect to happen overnight. It's just not going to happen. Um, I growing up in high school and stuff, I had a coach ask me one time, I'll never forget. He said, "Do you want to play ball? Do you want to, play ball in school?" And I thought, play ball in school? Here I am. I'm playing ball in school. I didn't realize what he was saying. He was talking about the next level, college, and putting in time and putting through the effort to get to that point. And that if I would have done that to get to that point, I might have had another option open up down the road. And that goes back to your high school anglers. If you're starting out at a high school angler right now, spend time on the water, fish, learn as much as you can learn, know the technology that you have in front of you, learn it, be a master at it, and go fish tournaments, whether it be a club tournament with your high school friends on the weekends, BFL type event. Start as a co-angler, fish, learn stuff from your boaters that, hopefully they should be teaching you things like that, and move up to a boater, Toyota Series co-angler boater. Get to college. You want to do some college fishing, you'll learn a lot in college, traveling, fishing different places. I know it helped me out tremendously. I'd never left Arkansas or Oklahoma until I started fishing college. And next thing you know, I'm in Texas fishing these random lakes. I'm on the Tennessee River fishing Kentucky Lake. I have no idea what to do. I'm just bouncing around, but it helped me learn at a young age what to look for. Fortunately, I had some success at it. I had a really good college partner, Blake. Him and I worked very good together. My rookie season, I did very well, and I'll go ahead and say this because I thought it was a joke at the time. I thought going into your sophomore year, you just keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, if you have a successful year, you're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to have some new friends come in. You're going to hear a lot of doc talk. Oh man, you need to be doing this here. You need to be doing that there, blah, blah, blah. I thought the sophomore slump, I thought that was kind of just a joke. My first 3 years, or my first 3 tournaments that second year, I struggled. I didn't catch hardly anything. And I had to basically come to Jesus meeting with myself. I said, what do I need to do to right this and get back on the right path? And it was go back to my roots, fish the consistent way I've been fishing over the years, fish to cash a check. Don't worry about what people are talking about, what they say is the right thing to do here or there. Just go do what you're good at and perfect it. And the last 3 events of that year, we had 6 events. I did fairly well, cashed 3 checks, moved on. That was the one year I didn't make the Forest Wood Cup. And I promise you, when you have to sit one out and you're at the expo and you're talking to fans and you're seeing all this live stuff on TV and you're not a part of it, it'll rub you the wrong way. Not that it's a bad thing to talk to fans and, enjoy the expo, but as a competitor, you want to be out there competing for $300,000 or $500,000, whatever it was. And when you put yourself in a situation where you're not involved in it, it lights a fire under you. And I promise you, you'll notice it. So, going after that year, it was back to fish my strengths, do what I'm good at. Obviously still talk to a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of people, still have those conversations. But at the end of the day, when a tournament rolls around, I'm going to do what I'm good at. I'm going to catch the fish I know I can catch. I'm going to cash my check, and I'm going to go on to the next one.
Well, all you guys that are watching, I mean, we're glad to take some questions from you guys. Um, anything you want to ask about the boat or about fishing, we'll be glad to answer them at any time. So, y'all just post them up. Oh Lord, T. Rowe Broussard said he's got some chicken wings, man.
You couldn't send some to me?
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure he cooked a whole pile of them the other day, and I ate almost all of them. I think he ate like two. I ate the whole pot full of wings.
yeah, I've seen that. I got pictures of it, but unfortunately, I was too far away to get any. So, Dakota Hill, he's asking, what's your confidence bait?
I would say I don't really have a confidence bait. More of a confidence strategy. I'm a shallow water guy. I feel like if I can make a bunch of casts and put myself in position, present my bait as many times as I can, that leads to more bites. I've said it ever since I started fishing the major league format. Bite generation is key. The way our formats worked over the years is the more bites you can get, the better off you are. So usually I'm usually throwing a small Yozuri square bill. I tend to stay at a lighter line. When most guys are throwing 16 to 20, I'll try to stay 12 to 14. Guys stick with 50-pound braid. I usually stick to 30. All the times you've seen me frogging on the Mississippi River and, Palestine last year, fishing all that heavy cover stuff, it was 30-pound Yozuri super braid frog. I flipped that same stuff with it. I try to generate as many bites as possible. So if I feel like I can get 20, 30 bites a day, and it doesn't matter if it's 2-pounders, 4-pounders, a random 5. If I'm fishing 4 or 5 big ones, you may only get 2 or 3 big bites a day. I feel like if I generate 20 to 30 bites a day, my percentage of those 3 to 5 pounders that I may need, my percentage is higher to catch those or to generate those bites. And looking at our format this year, we're back to a 5-fish format. So every fish still counts, but you're only scoring your top 5.
Yeah, you got it full.
And I really like that. I'm excited for it. I think the fans will really like that. It gets back to the 5-fish thing. The only negative is we're still not weighing in on stage, and we're trying to get into the fan interaction at takeoffs and weigh-ins, which I think is going to be a positive thing. I really think we need a weigh-in, whether we just bring our biggest fish back throughout the day. Cole your one biggest one, bring it back, just show it off, interact with fans, sign autographs, things like that. I really think we need to get back to that. But for me, it's bite generation. It's generate as many bites as possible. And you're going to get a few good bites a day, and then you got to capitalize on them, get them in the boat. And, I've had a lot of success doing that over the years. It's cashed me a lot of checks. It's made me successful. 8 or 9 years of fishing at a professional level. I've won a few times, and that's the mindset I have every time going into it. It's not, hey, I'm going to go throw a big jig, or I'm going to, throw a big crankbait, whatever. And that's just me. I've been asked several times at seminars and things like that. Same thing as your question here. It's what works best for you. It's what you're confident in. Prime example is Lambert. Lambert does very well offshore. He does very well, in those scenarios. And look at last year. He's won a ton of events. He did very well. He made a lot of money. Um, he may not be someone that's in the mix every single event, but he's usually close. He wins often, and when the technique comes around where that's going to prevail in an event, he's going to excel and he's going to dominate in it. But that's the difference. He's very good at that stuff. I'm very good at being universal and kind of open-minded to things and cashing a check, generating a lot of bites. So that's really about all I got on that one. Just try to generate bites and do what you're good at, do what you're confident in.
Yep. Got another question here. Old James Hastings, he was a Blazer guy. Um, he wants to know your thoughts on the Red Crest and how do you think that tournament's going to go?
I don't know. I've never fished here where we're going this year. I'm not really sure what to expect. It's a very good time, I think, that we're going. We're all going to catch a bunch of fish, I feel like. I'm really looking forward to it. I like these championship type events. For some reason, I've done well over the years in championship events, whether it been a Toyota Series, Revac, BFL Regional, whatever. Red Crest, got a pretty good history in them. It's a small field to compete against, and I tend to think that my take on the generating bites and the way I prefer to fish really shines in a small group of guys and those type of events. So, I'm excited to get to Norman. I'm excited to fish, hopefully do really well and top our series of top 4 finishes that we've had over the past 3 years.
And then we got Butch English. Do you prefer river or the lake fishing?
Man, I prefer the rivers. I grew up on the Arkansas River, fishing with my dad. We spent years there. I've got the very first bass I ever caught mounted on the wall. I can still tell you to this day pretty much every rock between Little Rock and Russellville on the Arkansas River. I know that place so well. I spent so many hours on there during the summer, fishing tournaments, hanging out with, mom and dad. We'd fish in the morning, hang out on a sandbar, fish in the afternoon. That's really where I grew up fishing. And then we moved to Oklahoma, and it was really an eye opener for me there, because we go from being basically river rats to, oh my God, we got this chocolate milk water. We've got gin clear water. We've got 2-foot deep water, 80, 120 foot deep water, 10 killer Lake Murray, Texoma. We've got smallmouth now. I've never seen smallmouth before. And we moved there when I was, I think, in 7th grade. I think I was 12 or 13. I don't know, sometime around there. But, it was a good time to move and see these different places. We would go spend weekends at one place. We would, look at the Atlas map thing we had in the truck, and we'd be, all right, let's go fish this lake this weekend. We'd go camp there and fish and learn that place. And, we still had the Arkansas River in Oklahoma, so we'd go there a lot, spend a lot of time there. Going from that kind of stuff to learning La Crosse area, Mississippi River, the pulls up and down from there. I'm just naturally a river guy. It suits well with me. I love current fishing, that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, if you could take the Tennessee River out of the rivers, I would be 100% a river guy. Tennessee River's I got a love-hate relationship with it. If we go there January through first week of April, I love it. If we go there from, October on, I love it. I hate those offshore months.
Oh man, I'm the opposite, man. You give me the middle to the end of April through July, and I absolutely love that place.
Yeah. I, I, it's like I said, it's a love-hate relationship. I remember fishing there a couple of years ago, and shoot, we took off at the dam, and I ran all the way to New Johnsonville and fished my way all the way back, and I think I had one keeper, and that was about the most negative I've ever been in my mind after a day of fishing. It's like, golly, man, you got to a professional level, and you run 75, 80 miles both ways, and you bring back one bass. Like, how pitiful is this? And then I think about it, and if I could go back and do that over again, I would just fish my strengths. That
Yeah.
was back when I was thinking you got to fish offshore. You got to fish offshore to win. I remember a guy fished a mile from takeoff and caught him right there at the dam on a jerk bait. When they turned the current on, he caught him there, caught like 19, 20 pounds in like no time. And here I am, I'm running 75, 80 miles one way to get
Yeah,
my butt kicked. And not that it was wrong to do what I did, but it wasn't my strength. And when I'm competing for a $10,000 check, to pay my bills, to feed my family, things like that, it's like, golly, man, how dumb was I? Just go fish and do the things, fish the way you can catch them. I could have very easily went and ran several pockets, several of them bays, ran in there, flipped what little bit of wood was in the water, some docks. I know guys that caught them on docks there. I totally overlooked them. I could have went and caught a limit every day and probably cashed a check. But I didn't do what was the right thing to do. I didn't do what my strength was, and I got my teeth kicked in, and it's a lesson learned, and I'm definitely not going to forget it.
yeah. I mean, that's Tennessee River. When I get there, I come out and go dead south for 75 miles, and don't stop till I get there. But I'm not a dock guy. I'm not I can flip wood, but man, you put me offshore on a ledge, and that's where I get excited.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, we got a similar question from Bradley. He said, "What's your favorite lake to jackpot in Oklahoma and in Arkansas?"
Favorite lake to jackpot in Oklahoma. Ah, man. I used to despise this place. We used to go to Eufaula a bunch. We used to go to Texoma a bunch. Couple of years, I would say Texoma was my favorite lake in the state. And then a couple of years, I would hate it. And then Eufaula would turn into my favorite place for a couple of years, and then I would hate it. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it's probably just the timing that I've been to this lake and the timing of events that have been to Grand. Man, Grand suits me really well. Early spring, I've won on it. I've won a BFL. I've won a Toyota Series there. I've won college, like our club deals there in the fall. It suits me very well. I really enjoy fishing Grand Lake. It's very popular. Seems like there's 2 or 3 tournaments there every weekend. Man, I would have to say Grand in Oklahoma. It's not something I would have said 10 years ago, because I always despised it, because that's where everybody said that's the best lake in the state. That's where you got to go to catch them. That's the best place there is around here. I was like, man, I can go down here and catch 20 pounds and have a good time, catch fish all day. What's so special about that? Then I fished a BFL there once and I won it. I had several good finishes. I've done really well there at super tournaments in the end of the year. Won a Toyota Series there. For whatever reason, it just suits me well. And going back to Arkansas, I grew up there. Very young age. We moved away when I was like 13. So, a lot of my memories are from 6, 7 to when we moved, and a lot of that's on the Arkansas River. A lot of people hate the river. They despise putting their boat in it. People around Oklahoma call it the ditch. I love it. I'll go there any chance I can. I'll fish any tournament I can fish there. And like I said a little while ago, I feel like I know about every rock from Little Rock to Russellville. In between there, growing up in Mayflower, there was 2 or 3 ramps within 15 minutes of us that we could get to: Palarm Creek, Toad Suck, you know, Cattern Park, anywhere in there, I was on it. We were fishing, me and Dad, and we always had a good time. Whether it was, bass fishing, catching stripers, white bass, whatever. During the summertime, we'd fish a few hours during daylight. Get hot, we'd go back to the sandbar, hang out, swim, kneeboard, do whatever. Go back and fish for a few hours before dark, and then we were back at the house 15 minutes later. So I kind of grew up with that as my home area, home lake, river, home water. So but I spent a lot of time on a Watchtower. Did really good there. A couple of Forest Wood Cups. Uh, Hamilton kind of kicked my rear, even though I had a good practice. I fished everything around there, beaver, table rock, all that, but it's hard for me to get away from the river.
Yep. I'm gonna take this next one. Joshua Wolf. He's asking. He's got a 520 Ranger. Thinking about going to a Blazer. 650 is very comparable in size to the 520. Size differences between the 625 and the 650. Of course, the 625 is 10 inches longer. The inside space of the 650 is 81 and a half inches there at your front deck, and the 625 is 77 inches, which is still a large front deck on the 625, but the one on the 650 is just that much larger. Um, Talking about the intrigued about the speeds with the 625. It is a 20-foot boat, so it is a little bit faster than the 650, but it's not a huge difference. A lot of times you see when you go from a 20-foot to a 21-foot boat, you lose 5, 6, 7 miles an hour. You're usually, if the setup's right and you've got your boat loaded correctly, you're usually only 1 or 2 mile an hour difference between the two boats. So they're very similar. They're both very responsive and sporty handling. Um, do you give up any ride characteristics, or ride quality from a 650 to a 625? A little. I mean, just because the 650s, it's 10 inches longer, it's a little bit longer boat. It stretches out a little bit more. Both boats handle big water great. They both are dry rides. They both land really soft. The great thing about both boats, running a 4-blade prop, rough water, trailing seas, you can drop your jack plate all the way down, bump the trim to about 20%, and you can stay on pad at 18, 19, 20 miles an hour. Where this becomes important is in those big trailing seas. You can actually control the nose of the boat and keep from dipping down and catching those waves. So either one of them, honestly, I've had them both on Lake Erie. I've had a 625 on Toledo Bend rolling 6-footers doing a demo ride with the customer, thinking there's no way he's going to want to buy a boat. Nothing rides great in a 6-footer, and you get halfway down the boat lane, the guy's like, "Man, I'm sold. I love this thing. It's perfect." So they can both handle just about anything. I would say it depends on the type of fishing you do. If you're fishing behind docks a lot, like when we go to LOZ, I really miss my 625 when I'm at LOZ because, man, our Grand Lake, either one, I just spin that dude around and roll out. Where the 650 is a little bit longer, so you kind of got to back out before you turn. Um, so really, it depends on your fishing style. Shoot me a PM. I mean, I'll be glad to do what I can to get you in a boat. And the best way to find out which boats for you is get in both of them. We'll instead of going for a 10-minute test ride, let's go fish for a couple hours and we'll see what boat fits you the best. And then that's the boat that we need to go with. And this next one here, Zach. Oh man, this one's a good one. You have any other passions like turkey hunting or duck hunting? Man, did they hit the nail on the head with both of them?
Yeah. Um, I've said it. I've said it multiple times.
Mark Austin.
If I knew how to make a living turkey hunting and waterfowl hunting, as good as I can bass fishing, I would prefer to hunt than fish. But so far, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Uh, we bought a farm last year, and it's been very successful this year, running hunts and stuff. So I'm super excited for it. We're hoping to add on to it going forward. But at the same time, I'm a super competitive person. It doesn't matter if I'm in a foot race like these goobers back here were today, trying to run down a ditch and see who's faster, or bass fishing in a tournament. I'm super competitive. I love competing at everything. The older I get, the more fragile I'm getting probably. So I should be a little more careful. But that's just how I am. I love turkey hunting. There's not much better than seeing a big strutter coming up on you. Duck hunting. You guys that follow me, I love that. Um, I love it all. I'm just a pure outdoorsman, and uh, that's why I'm a well-rounded individual as far as this industry goes, and I try to align myself with companies that um, you know I can help them benefit 365 days out of the year. I'm not just someone that we start in February, we end in July, and then I'm done with you. That's not how this works with me. I'm a 365 days out of the year guy. Bass fishing, waterfowl hunting, turkey hunting, everything in between. Uh, that's just how I am, and I try to align myself up with companies that can benefit from that. Because that's a better business role for both of us.
Yeah, I think this year, man, if the schedule allows, we've talked about getting you guys up to our farm in North Missouri and letting you guys go up there and kill some of them big birds that keep tearing up my food plots, man.
Oh, I promise you, if there's 2 3 days to spare and Lambert and I can get away, we'll be there. I guarantee that.
All right.
We can trade that out. We can trade that out for some waterfowl stuff come wintertime. You guys come down, we'll have a good time.
Sounds awesome. Chris Stansberry has a question for you. How does he book a duck hunt with you and the Fowl Militia guys?
Um, we got a website. We've got some gear on there, but if you just reach out to me or our page, we'll get right back to you. Right now, we're booked through the rest of the season, and everybody that's hunted with us has had a really good time. Honestly, they've all wanted to rebook already, and I've turned them all down for the fact that we're rebooking in March. So March 1, we'll start booking again. Um, and a lot of those people will book those dates for next year. Like I said, we're hoping to have another farm that is ready to go. We're going to add to what we have now. So, if you're interested in coming hunt with us, you haven't came this year, just reach out to us, send me a message on Facebook or, Instagram, whatever you're on. And, we'll keep you in mind. We'll keep you informed on the date to start booking. And if that's something you want to do, we'll mark you down and get you lined up.
Cliff Crochet wants to know how he gets on one of those duck hunts, but y'all don't take crayons and coloring books to the duck blinds, do you? I mean,
no, but I have a 5-year-old daughter. I know Cliff's got a whole team of children, so we can surely find some crayons and some markers, and we can bring the whole crew in there if we have to. We can paint and marker up the whole inside of the blind if we got to.
Yeah,
they'll have a good time.
You got to watch Cliff though; he'll try to eat the crayons.
He might do that. That's a real possibility.
Zane Johnson, yeah. What are the baits hanging on the wall behind you? Don't worry about it. It's nothing that you need. James Hastings again. He wants to know what made you choose the 625 over the 650.
So like the same. When I first started talking with Chris and Blazer, and I immediately took to the 625, primarily because I like the smallest boat, highest horsepower rating I can get. Going back to like Bass Cat, we had a 21 footer. We had a Lynx that was a wide body 20-footer hull. I just wanted something that was the smallest, most sporty hull I could get away with, but I could still have the maximum horsepower rating possible. And when we transitioned to Blazer, it was a 625. I mean, I had my mind set up immediately. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't know what Chris has said. I don't know what's been out there yet, but there's some few modifications coming down the road that a lot of people are going to really like. I know I'm going to like. My boat this year has a couple changes that I'm extremely happy with. So the 625, being that I get in extremely shallow places, I fish a lot of creeks, a lot of tight places, in and out of behind docks, Grand Lake. I'm in behind a dock, skipping behind both of them. I'm out as fast as I can, getting around as fast as I can. So, when you're in a 20-foot hole versus a boat that's over 21 foot, it doesn't sound like much, but there's a difference. And when you're so used to being in a 20-footer, you go to a 21 something, it will catch you off guard. And sometimes where you may be spinning a boat around and your motor may hit a dock, or it's kind of a instinct deal, just like fishing with your active target, whatever forward facing sonar you are. I'm fishing on the pedal, and I instinctively know after a month of using it where my foot is on the pedal, where my transducer is facing, how far I need to throw. I can see that 30, 40, 60 foot out there. I know exactly the cast I need to make. So when I knew this Blazer deal was transpiring, I was dead set on a 625. I'm super excited to get in it. I can't wait to start fishing tournaments out of it. I can't wait to get a motor on it and get it broke in.
All right. The next one we got is Justin Barnes. When you are practicing for a tournament, what is your mindset, game plan in finding fish from shallow to deep places to putting it together with a tournament day in the Southeast region?
Southeast region's finicky, mainly because you have a wide variety of bodies of water. You've got rivers, you've got Tennessee River, you've got Heron lakes, you've got all of Florida, which is different. And I'll tell you, the Heron lakes probably throw me the biggest curveball, because I get stuck on something that I see during practice, and it's very hard for me to get off of it with those lakes. But probably as a majority, what I do is I want to put my eyes on everything that I can. I try to ride the whole lake or river, whatever it may be. I want to see every place I can put my boat in. I want to see every nook and cranny I can get back into. Chris has got a little story about that with Okeechobee,
Yep.
Evan and them. I want to see it all more than dial in how to catch them, because every day is a little bit different, and you never know really what to expect with weather changes and things like that, what kind of curveball you're going to be thrown. So I feel like if I take off in practice and I ride the lake, and I'm talking just cruising around, literally looking at backwaters, scanning these bays, looking at docks, scanning docks for brush. I look offshore on some stuff for brush piles, things like that. That kind of stuff will allow me to make decisions on the water during the tournament day that are a difference of cashing a check and not cashing a check, or, making the knockout round and not making the knockout round, a midday decision change that will allow me to advance to, make a top 10 or whatever it may be. I'm not worried about so much catching fish, because I'm confident in what I do. I'm confident in being able to catch fish. And I'm not saying that in a arrogant aspect. I'm saying that is, I want to know more about the lake and how it lays out and what I'm looking at going into the tournament, versus figuring out a pattern during practice. Because when we go out for a day, I'll start the tournament out. No, I'd love to start practice out or tournament out with like 4 rods on the deck. Everybody wants that. But that happens very seldom. So I'll start the day out with a full deck of rods, with an open mindset, and I'll obviously go to something I'm confident in. I'll go to something I saw in practice, and I'll kind of let the day just play out. But in my head, if I go somewhere and it's not working, I already know a B plan, a C plan. I've got all these different game plans laid out that I can go do if that initial, plan doesn't play out. And I really feel like that helps me make quick adjustments and, have a little bit more success.
All right, I got one more here from Alan Morrow that I'll take. I'm thinking about going from a 2420 GTS to a 2700 hybrid. What's the thoughts on that? Alan, it really depends on what kind of fishing you do. They're both amazing boats. The 2420 GTS is one of my favorite boats that we build. The 2700, if you're doing a lot of big water stuff, then that's definitely the boat for you. If you're trying to get in really skinny water, the 2700 is going to have a little bit deeper draft. Depending on the engine, it could be anywhere from 14 to 16 inches. Of course, a 425 or twin engines are going to be heavier, and it's gonna float a little deeper in the water. If you're that guy that's chasing redfish and getting really shallow, then you probably want to stay with your 2420 GTS, or come see me at the Houston Boat Show, because we do have a new bay boat. A new GTS is coming out. The Houston Boat Show will be the first place that it is public. So right over from Louisiana to Houston during a boat show, we'll be in the Boat Etc. booth with a new Blazer Bay boat, and it is bad to the bone. So come see me, and I'll be glad to help you any way I can. Um, well, guys, I don't want to keep Zack on here all night. We definitely have appreciated all of you coming out. Appreciate your questions. Zack, man, I'm so pumped to have you on the team. We're going to have a lot of fun together, not only, with Blazer, but off the water with our group of guys, turkey hunt, duck hunt, just going to have a good time. Everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you. Go download the Bass 365 Live app. It'll give you notifications when there's podcasts going out. I know I'm going to be doing a lot more podcasts with Ricky and Bass 365 over the next few months. We're going to have some of our other Blazer pros on here. I know I'm going to have Spencer Suffield on here. I'm going to try to drag in Carson Hamilton, who is one of our college anglers who's qualified for the national championship coming up at Lake Toho. He's got an amazing story, great kid. Who knows? We may twist Ricky's arm and just have one big podcast with 8, 9, 10 of us on here. But we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So definitely go get the app. That way you can have the notifications and be able to keep up with everything. And Zack, let me know how that boat is once you get it broke in. And good luck to you. We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me tonight.